I'm not the kind of woman who stays behind after piano lessons. I prefer to be the one who handles the pickup and drop-off. Effective. Unseen. Swiftly passing through. Done. Yet, on that drizzly Thursday afternoon, with the glass clouded and the scent of damp foliage lingering in the air, I encountered him. Nathan, the new piano teacher for my son. He was in the bloom of youth, at least 2 decades my junior. A slender frame, dark hair that fell in a casual disarray, hands that seemed to carry the weight of experience beyond his years, fingers that held secrets. He smiled, neither with politeness nor charm, simply with sincerity. Perhaps that was the initial moment that rendered me vulnerable. The authenticity. It felt extraordinary. I intended to remain in the vehicle, peruse through the emails, kill time like I always did. Yet, as soon as the sound of the piano drifted through the wall, a gentle warmth I hadn't experienced in ages enveloped me. It was more than merely the sound. It was the manner in which he approached it. Calculated. Fragile. As if every note carried its own significance. Seated on the modest waiting bench just outside the studio door, I cradled a lukewarm cup of coffee, my purse still draped over one arm. A testament to my fleeting intention to linger only briefly. I remained still until the lesson concluded. As the door swung open, Nathan emerged alongside my son, casting me a look filled with intrigue. "Feel free to step inside next time," he remarked. After lessons, I often find myself brewing a comforting cup of tea. His tone was relaxed and informal. There is no agenda. As if it were perfectly normal. I inclined my head and offered a smile. I made no promises. Yet, a subtle transformation stirred within me. As the lesson drew to a close, I found myself entering the studio the following week. It was a quaint and serene space. A humble upright Yamaha, a well-loved rug, and a shelf brimming with sheet music. A subtle aroma of aged timber mingled with hints of citrus-infused tea lingered in the air. I settled into my seat as Nathan filled the eclectic ceramic cups with steaming tea. Nothing but authenticity. Free from any discomfort. Simply existence. He inquired, "Have you ever engaged in any games?" A chuckle escaped my lips. During my college years, I experimented with the violin. I relinquished it upon tying the knot. He nodded with a contemplative air. I never inquired about the reasons behind my decision to let it go. There was no reference to the past tense in the word married. She simply placed the tea in my hands, her silence speaking volumes. In that moment it conveyed all that needed to be expressed. Following that, I began to linger a bit more. Week after week. Just 10 minutes. 15. At times it can be 30. He would perform a piece once my son had exited the room. Always unique, never repeated. He would settle at the piano, hands ready, embracing the silence before allowing the music to weave its way into the air around us. On a certain day, he performed Clair de Lune Debussy, a melody that had faded from my memory since my 19-year-old self roamed the world. And in an instant tears began to flow. Not weeping. Not with a clamor. Simply tears streaming down uninvited. He remained silent. Did not appear to be in discomfort. Having completed the piece, I murmured gently, "Music holds onto memories, even when we attempt to let them go." That night, I reclined in bed, pondering why I felt so understood by someone who demanded so little. The anticipation for Thursday's arrival was simply unbearable. The quiet moments shared with him held a depth of intimacy that surpassed any dialogue I had experienced in years. I reassured myself that it posed no threat. I was merely a weary woman, a nurturing figure, a person who has experienced the end of a marriage, who discovered solace in melodies, with compassion, within the realm of tea. Yet, beneath the surface I was aware. A new chapter had begun. Something serene. Perilous situation. I found myself uncertain about whether I truly wished for it to come to an end. It evolved into a cherished tradition. Each Thursday, I would settle into that well-loved sofa, a cup of tea in hand, either jasmine or chamomile, while he strummed a tune whose name eluded me, yet felt oddly familiar. I once believed that words were the bridge to intimacy with another person. Yet with Nathan it was the pauses that spoke volumes. Our conversations were few and far between. He never intruded. There was never any inquiry regarding my former spouse, my profession, or my circle of friends. Yet he observed details. In the familiar posture of my hands tightly clenched, I found a certain comfort. Or how I would glide my thumb along the edge of the teacup whenever anxiety crept in. On a Thursday evening, while he was immersed in a gentle nocturne, he paused halfway and turned his gaze toward me. "Close your eyes," he murmured softly. I certainly did. He approached the next segment with a measured, intentional pace. And for a fleeting instant, I was not yet 48. I was not a mother to anyone. I found companionship in the midst of solitude. I was simply experiencing, and that filled me with dread. As I blinked awake, he continued to play, a smile gracing his lips, not directed at me, but rather lost in the music of the keys. As if he was already aware of the significance of that moment. As if my words were unnecessary. During the following week, I lingered more than I typically would. I lingered until my son had made his way to the car. Until the front door let out a soft click. Until the atmosphere shifted. I remained silent. He did not either. Yet the memory of his movement lingers, deliberate, almost cautious, as if each step was weighed with intention. As though he feared that any sudden movement towards it could shatter it into pieces. He presented me with a sheet of music. A piece of his own creation. "It crossed my mind the night you wept," he murmured softly. I was uncertain of its significance, yet it held weight. I grasped the paper as if it were a cherished relic. For some reason it truly was. I was uncertain about what we truly were. Not romantics. We are not friends. Not unfamiliar faces. We existed in a realm of ambiguity. A realm where individuals seldom linger for an extended period. Yet oh how I longed to remain. One evening our hands brushed against each other unexpectedly. I was returning the music sheet, and our fingers lightly touched. He remained still. I didn't either. And I swear the whole room seemed to shift. It was merely a fleeting moment. Yet it was electric. The atmosphere surrounding us had been electric all along, and we had both been feigning ignorance to its presence. I withdrew my hand, a nervous laugh escaping my lips. Commented on the state of the weather. He simply offered a smile. That same hushed, heart-wrenching smile. As I made my way home that evening, I switched off the radio and embraced the stillness around me. In the back seat, my son was engrossed in a game. He remained oblivious to the way my fingers clenched the steering wheel with a fierce intensity. I was aware of the unfolding events. I was aware of the conclusion as well. Such tales cannot endure the harsh glare of daylight. They flourish in the darkness. They consume the quietude. And they perish upon being uttered. Yet I found myself returning once more. Each Thursday, punctuality is key, accompanied by tea, and a heart that feigned indifference to hope. At times, the weight of attention can seem more perilous than the pull of desire. And silence, when exchanged, can evoke a deeper connection than mere touch. The rain fell steadily from the sky. Indeed it was. The sort of rain that seeps into your coat before you've had a chance to secure the car. I arrived late to collect my son. Congestion. A gathering that extended beyond its intended duration. Existence. Perpetually showing up just as you seek to experience something different. Upon my arrival at the studio, I found the lights cast in a soft, muted glow. My son sat in the car, headphones in place, patiently waiting. Yet Nathan remained, diligently polishing the keys. "You may wait in here," he remarked, gesturing toward the room. "The rain is here to stay." I ought to have declined. One should have waved, smiled, and then departed. However, in contrast, I entered the room and gently shut the door, sealing off the world outside. The warmth enveloped me more than I expected. Perhaps it was merely my skin. Nathan filled my glass with wine this time. "It is not tea." Without a word, he simply placed it in my hands. I accepted it. I felt as though I belonged there, as if I had every right to be present in that moment. As if I wasn't carrying the burden of two existences upon my ribcage. He performed a piece that was unfamiliar to me. "Take your time." More melancholic. A tune that evoked the sensation of treading softly on the remnants of an unfinished memory. As he concluded, an eerie stillness enveloped the room, aside from the gentle patter of rain against the windows. Then he inquired, "Do you ever sense invisible?" I chose not to respond. I was unable to. His inquiry was not born from mere curiosity. He was already aware of the answer. He rose to his feet, approached the window, his back facing the room. And I found myself uttering, "I don't believe anyone has truly seen me in years." Not quite. He pivoted, gazed into my eyes, and then something I had been suppressing for months, perhaps even years, finally broke free. "I doubt you understand just how stunning you truly are," he murmured gently. "It's more than just your face. The manner in which you embrace stillness. The manner in which you lend your ear." It was a most peculiar statement to make. Yet it lacked any semblance of being rehearsed. It resonated with authenticity. Oh, how I craved the essence of truth. "I am not," I murmured. He advanced nearer. "You exist. Particularly when doubt clouds your conviction. It's unclear who made the initial move. Perhaps neither of us truly did. Perhaps we simply tumbled. Gradually. A melody that lacks a refrain. It's that fleeting instant right before a touch transforms into an irreversible act." His lips grazed mine as if seeking an answer. Gentle. Uncertain. And I responded, not through speech but with every fiber of my being. A kiss that embodied both remorse and the granting of freedom in a single moment. A kiss that inquired, "Are you certain?" And replied, "I've never felt more uncertain. And I desire it regardless." As we separated, silence enveloped us, words unspoken lingering in the air. Not immediately. His hand lingered gently against the curve of my face. My breath came in fits and starts. The memory lingers, a delicate blend of wine, rain, and a hint of wild abandon. "That was a mistake," I admitted. He remained silent, chose not to voice dissent. He nodded, deliberately, as if he understood that this moment was far from final. I departed before I had the chance to reconsider, before I could tarnish more than just a fleeting instant. Yet, as I sat in the car next to my son, my mind was consumed by thoughts of his hands. The melodies he creates. A sensation stirred within me, something I believed had long since faded away. And I loathed myself for the vitality it stirred within me. The kiss remained unspoken between us. Not the upcoming lesson. Not the subsequent one. Yet, a change had occurred in the atmosphere, in the silences that lingered between our words, in the manner he gazed at me from above the edge of his teacup. I ceased referring to it as my son's lesson. For deep down, I understood that I was the one who consistently returned. I found myself lingering more frequently, feigning an interest in my inbox as my son diligently organized his music book, anticipating that serene instant when it would be just Nathan and me once more. The door clicked shut, and our breaths would take on a new rhythm, as if casting off an old layer. Out of the blue, the second kiss unfolded. He was fiddling with a music stand when I remarked casually, something trivial like, "You always forget to tighten that screw." He chuckled softly. I leaned in closer. This time there are no illusions. There is no whine. Silence envelopes the space, with no melodies to accompany the moment. Only the sound of his breath faltering, and mine surrendering. From that point onward, it evolved into a recurring theme. A ceremony steeped in tradition. A new beginning. It invariably occurred once my son exited the room. Beyond the sealed entrance of the studio. Beside the piano. He would push me against the wall as if he had been restraining himself for weeks. Kiss me as if I were the sole soul who ever genuinely absorbed the essence of his melodies. His hands moved with a deliberate grace. They held a deep sense of respect. As if he were teaching me in the same manner he mastered a fresh composition. Note by note, pause by pause. And I allowed him to proceed. For I had lost touch with the sensation of being desired. Not from a sense of duty. Not deviating from the norm. Yet, it was merely due to an inability to resist. I reassured myself that we were causing no harm to anyone. It transpired in secrecy. Confidential. Restrained. Yet guilt remains indifferent to barriers. It infiltrates gradually then suddenly. One evening after we had separated, gasping for air, he caressed my cheek and murmured, "I believe you are not destined to be an afterthought in someone else's existence." Words eluded me. He recognized a part of me that I had hidden away for far too long. He didn't desire to possess me alone. He wished to hold on to me. What truly filled me with dread was not the affair, but the implications it carried. In the solitude of that night, tears streamed down as I stood beneath the cascading water of the shower. Not due to any sense of regret. However, I did not. Within the confines of home, a sense of monotony enveloped everything. Conversations over dinner, television series, even the recital of my son. I occupied the front row, applauding at the appropriate moments. Yet, the only sound that echoed in my mind was Nathan's voice. You were never intended to be an afterthought in someone else's existence. I began to perceive my reflection in a new light. Not any younger, not more beautiful, merely conscious. Perhaps that was the most perilous aspect of it all. For once you recall the sensation of being truly noticed, returning to a state of obscurity becomes impossible. It concluded as all exquisite errors inevitably do, not with a cry, never through treachery, yet with a soft murmur, and a portal ajar for just a moment too long. That month marked the culmination of my son's journey with his final recital. He was outgrowing that studio, outgrowing childhood, and transforming into someone taller, stronger, more remote. Perhaps I was as well. Nathan chose not to mention it, the conclusion. Yet, I sensed it in the manner of his caress. As if one were committing something to memory just before it slips from grasp. The future remained unspoken between us. We have never experienced that. This tale could only exist within the confines of the room where the piano resided. What we shared was too fragile to endure the harsh light of day. Exclusively on Thursday evenings. Within delicate teacups. Through fleeting looks. And melodies that remained unheard by all. One day, I confided in him that I would no longer be bringing my son along. We discovered a group class conveniently located near our home. He gave a subtle nod, his silence speaking volumes. Remained unyielding. I did not plead. Simply stated, I composed something for you. It was a brief composition. 1.5 pages. In the interlude of instruction, he chose not to share it with me. He passed me the sheet music and remarked, You don't need to look at it just yet. I did not. Not at that moment. We lingered in quietude for what felt like an eternity. His hand lingered gently on the piano. My heart clutched the melody as if it were a vital thread connecting me to existence. Silence enveloped the moment, leaving no words to be uttered. There is no proper farewell to a part of yourself you never expected to encounter once more. He pressed his lips to my forehead, a gesture so simple, so tender, that it almost shattered me. I have no regrets about any of it, he stated. I placed my trust in him. I stepped out of the studio for the final time. With my son by my side, he chattered away about the vending machine and expressed his disdain for scales. And I smiled as if everything remained the same. Even though all had transpired, the melodies lingered tucked away in my purse for weeks on end. Then one night, when the house lay still, when the weight of the world pressed down, I opened it. I spread the sheet over my kitchen table, and followed each note as if it were a unique fingerprint. I was unfamiliar with playing the piano, yet I refrained. Yet I could perceive it. I sensed each accent, each pause, every silent, throbbing instant he had crafted for me. For the woman who lingered after each lesson concluded. For the one who allowed herself to be embraced, not merely in flesh but in recollection. Times I find myself drawn to that drawer once more. Continue to review the notes. I often find myself pondering whether he still holds those memories close. Then, in my dreams there exists a room adorned with a piano, where a boy with gentle hands plays softly. He brings to mind the truth that even those overlooked can resonate as melodies in another's heart.